prioritize judicial resolution of disputes, that is, resolution by a court, because that's a peaceful means of resolving disputes. And so this is the idea that the Security Council should try to have the parties in an actual dispute go to the ICJ. This is also to recognize and not take away the power of the ICJ as the judicial branch. Because the Security Council kind of has a dual role in a way. It has it has executive power to enforce the law to a degree, but it also kind of has a judicial role in settling and deciding disputes. And so, in effect, that could take away from the Court of Justice power. So that's why that's there, to maintain sort of that separation of powers. All right, now let's get to Chapter 7. Chapter 7 is the part of the United Nations Charter that gives the Security Council enforcement authority. And there are two articles, 41 and 42, that I really want you to know about, and I will test you on. Let's just start with Article 39. The Security Council shall determine the existence of any threat to the peace, breach of the peace, or act of aggression, and shall make recommendations or decide, fundamental difference from the General Assembly, or decide make recommendations which are non-mandatory, or decide, which means it is mandatory, what measures shall be taken in accordance with Article 41 and 42. 41 and 42. So let's look at those two articles. Article 41. The Security Council may decide what measures not involving use of armed forces are to be employed to give effect to its decisions. In other words, to carry out its decisions. And may call upon the members of the United Nations to apply such measures. So this is non-economic enforcement activity, decisions by the Security Council. That may include complete or partial interruption of economic relations. So that would be an embargo, a trade restriction placed upon a country, interruption of rail, sea, air, postal, telegraphic, radio, and other means of communication, and severance of diplomatic relations. So this is where you see, you see the term in the news all the time, economic sanctions. That's an Article 41 kind of a sanction as an enforcement mechanism. So a prohibition on trading certain type of products, allowing humanitarian aid but not other type of aid, prohibiting member countries from engaging in trade, import and export with a sanctioned country. That's where that power comes from, Article 41. Now notice this. Call upon the members to apply such measures. That is a mandate that the members have to follow the Security Council decision in the event of a trade embargo or trade sanctions. It is a duty of the members of the UN to follow through with that Security Council decision. Does it always happen? No, we know that, but that's where it comes from. Okay, so Article 41 is non-military. So I have a test question that I sometimes ask. Under which article of the UN Charter does the Security Council have authority to issue non-military sanctions or non-military enforcement? That would be an Article 41 measure. Article 42 is where the military comes in. Article 42. Should the Security Council consider that measures provided for in Article 41 would be inadequate or have proved to be inadequate? Stop right there. So this is telling the Security Council can analyze the situation, and if they have not already imposed Article 41 measures, economic sanctions, they don't have to if they determine that they wouldn't work, basically. Or if they've tried Article 41 measures and they didn't work. or have proved to be inadequate. So what this is saying is, you don't have to start with Article 41 if the Security Council determines that they won't work anyway. There's not a mandate to first start there before you go to military. You can go right to military. Now, that's not the goal. The goal is to hopefully not have military activity, but this allows for the Security Council to approve military action even if they haven't already tried economic or other diplomatic activity or actions. Okay? So this does not mandate you first do 41 is what I'm getting. All right. So, have proved to be inadequate. It may take such measures or action by air, sea, or land forces as may be necessary to maintain or restore international peace and security, which may include demonstrations, blockade, and other operations, which is a euphemism for military force. So Article 42 is where the Security Council is given by the Charter the authority to authorize military force. That's the answer to the test question. Article 42 is military, potential military. Article 41 is economic and diplomatic. So that's why those two paragraphs are, like I say, the meat and potatoes of the Security Council authority. Okay, Article 43, which is part of Article 40. All members of the United Nations, in order to contribute to the maintenance of peace, international peace and security, shall undertake to make available to the Security Council, on the Security Council's call and in accordance with special agreement, armed forces for assistance and facilities, including rite of passage. So this means that UN members have an obligation to provide their military resources, troops and other military equipment, etc., and rite of passage, which means unhindered access to the territory of member nations. So this is where the UN Charter not only allows for use of military activity if necessary, but members have an obligation to provide military resources to the Security Council if necessary and determined by the Security Council. And then it goes on to create, which I'm not going to spend any more time on, but it goes on the next page to create the Military Staff Committee, which is the Military Staff Committee, which is the hierarchy of military authority within the UN. Okay, what time is it? So I think we're just about out of time. So I'm going to break there for today.